What is good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Get With It. I am your co-host, Killa Cam. I am here with a very special guest today. Not my co-host, but another very special guest who just made a special announcement that we will definitely get into all about it. We'll talk all through it, but please welcome Hannah Hidalgo, the number 5 player in the country. She is a recent Notre Dame commit. Hannah, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, I've had the blessing of being able to come and work with you and your dad and kind of see a little bit about your journey. But, you know, I think it's such a special story that you have coming through this career of basketball. And now you're about to make this next leap into that next one. But, you know, I want to get a little bit into those beginning days and how you kind of turned it from a hobby to now a career and, you know, potentially a pro career in 4 to 5 years. So, you know, talk to me a little bit about that first time you picked up a basketball and kind of who made you really get into the game like this.
Well, when I first picked up a basketball, I was about 4 years old. My parents first put me in a little rec league, and I didn't like it. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I was not feeling the whole basketball thing. I was, like I said, multiple times, I was just there for the Gatorade just to get some juice or something like that. But once I really started playing, I really started going against the boys. The guy who was running the rec league gave me a nickname. He used to call me Buckets. So I kind of started to see like, oh wait, I'm not too bad at this, and I kind of started to fall in love with the game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and buckets were right. I kind of understand why, and I've seen plenty of it, and we'll definitely get into all that. But you know, once you kind of got into it and you started, you know, realizing, oh, like maybe I could make this into something a little bit more. You know, who really inspired you through that process of like deciding to, you know, take it a little bit more seriously? I would say.
I would say my parents, they really pushed me kind of to be better, to always, work hard. They introduced me to the game and kind of wanted to make me, get better and stuff like that. And the people that were like, I was surrounded by my brothers and like always surrounded by, boys who played basketball also inspired me to be the best. Like I always want to be better than the boys who were like 5 years older than me. So like having people that surrounded me like that kind of wanted to make me become better.
Nah, 100%. And I feel like I hear that story a lot actually with so many different players about that relationship that your parents have in your career. But yours is a little bit different, you know. Not only is your pops, you know, someone who inspired into this game, but now he's your coach.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about what it was like kind of making that transition. Because I know like he coached you a little bit growing up, but then you know,
Right.
how did he come about this position of now being your head coach in high school? And how has it been transitioning into that kind of relationship?
It was kind of crazy how it happened. So it was like right before the season was about to start, my head coach decided she was going to step down from the position. And I'm like, man, like we're screwed. We don't have anything. Like, who's going to be our head coach? Like, we can't get like anybody off the street who has no idea what he's talking about. Cause, I want to win. I want to compete and I want to win games. So, you know, my AD kind of like asked my dad, like, hey, this position open. Like, do you want to take it? And he's like, yeah, just like let me bring in some of my assistant coaches. And he ended up bringing his assistant coach from his AAU team and also another person that my AD had kind of recommended to him. So, I mean, it's been a great transition. It wasn't too hard because when I'm growing up, he always coached me in middle school and he was always working me out. So he was always hard on me and kind of just like always there, like coaching me, like on the sidelines in games. Even if he wasn't my coach, he was still coaching me. So it wasn't like too hard, but I mean, it was just kind of crazy how like things kind of came about, and it was obviously a blessing too.
Yeah, no, 100%. And one thing that I feel like people that may not know is your dad has coached, you know, some great players that are now in the NBA. And one of those that AAU team he coached, you know, had Cam Reddish and the likes of those. You know, what have you learned from his experiences with those types of level players that are now, you know, playing in the NBA, and how have you applied them to kind of your career and your game?
Kind of growing up, kind of playing with those guys, I had to like learn how to score in different ways because I was going against boys who were like 6'4". My cousin was 6'4". Then I was going against my brother who's also 6'4", 5'10". So having those people who are so much taller than me, I can't just kind of go score how I would score off of like little guards. So being able to kind of maneuver and find different ways to score. It really helped me. So if I can do it against those boys, and I can come over here on the girls' side and also be able to score on them in different ways who are, not going to be like 6'4", 180. So, I mean, it really helped me in my game on the girls' side.
Yeah, and I think that's like something so beautiful that I always think about too, like how you could really take game, pieces of each game, right? The women's and the men's, and really apply them vice versa. Because when you talk about the women's game, I think my favorite part of it is how team oriented and like well spaced and well executed it is, as opposed to
Yes.
sometimes on the men's side you see a lot of ISO, a lot of 2v2, and you don't really have that entire 5-on-5 dynamic throughout the entire game. And so
Hmm.
kind of working with and potentially playing with Cam and some of these players, are there any other players that you maybe kind of take pieces from, like on the NBA or WNBA side, that really kind of shape your game, or you like to model your game after?
I really liked, Aries. I like Aries' game, and
Mhm.
it was Quade Green. He was a super tough guard. Maurice Watson was a really good facilitator. He did really well being able to drive and dish out to kind of his big. But going back to what you said, I think that's definitely really big. I know my dad, he coached boys for many, many years, and he coached girls for a year. It was 1 year, and he was like, man, this is so much better than, coaching boys, because we listen more, and
Yes.
we're like, it's not like we're trying to go after each other. Like, boys are always trying to compete with their own teammates. We're a family. Like, we want to win. We want to do things right. We listen. Boys, they think they know it all. He's always saying, like, the boys, they always think they know it all, but you guys, you listen, and you guys want to get better. So, I mean, he's definitely said that a few times. He loves coaching girls a lot more than boys. So,
I can imagine. I mean, listen, that ego is not easy, especially
yes.
at that young age. And so some people are just not able to, and especially boys, sorry, we
Yeah.
better, not able to keep it in check, especially when it comes to developing.
Mhm.
And one thing that and we got to say it to talk about it too, before your dad became the head coach, how many games how far had y'all gotten toward a state championship?
It was not very far. The first year we lost in the first round. We were up by 16 points with like 3 minutes left, and we blew it.
Mm.
And the second year was COVID year, so we only played like 15 games, so we didn't have a championship thing. And then this year we were 1 game away, and last year we were 1 game away. This year we plan on taking it home.
Yeah, I mean, and if so, y'all, if y'all listening, keeping track, dad just started coaching this past year, or
Hmm.
last year, apologies. And that's when y'all made it, all the way to the semifinals of the state championship. And that's just in the first year. So now
Yeah.
you've got this final year, you've got this big commitment out of the way. What's kind of your mindset going into this final year? And what are some of the goals that you have going into your college career starting next year?
Well, my mindset this year is just kill. I mean, I want to go undefeated. We're a year
Hmm.
older. Everyone has gotten better. Our IQ has gotten better. Our chemistry has gotten stronger just over the past year. I mean, the stuff that we did in 1 year. I mean, we had so much talent my first and second year. Without my dad being the coach. Now imagine if my dad wasn't the coach. And then last year we didn't have as much talent, but we had girls that wanted to win, they wanted to compete, they wanted to play
Hmm.
hard, and just with those type of girls on the team, like we got all the way, like we were 1 game away. So that's really big. Now imagine like what we can do now. We did lose a major piece, but we added some new pieces, and now we still have the same girls who've gotten older, stronger, and better. So just imagine kind of what we can do kind of this year. So I'm planning on having a successful year, and next year I kind of just want to bring like this like aggression. Like I want to
Hmm.
be, obviously everything I do, I kind of wanted to start on defense. I want to bring the energy on defense. I want to be able to create for my teammates and get my buckets when needed. But I kind of just want to do the dirty work, bring the energy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 100%. That's something that, like, I picked up first game, and we're gonna get into summer classic because that's
Hmm.
that's a whole different conversation about what you did at that court. We all saw it, but you talked about it a little bit there with your family having close ties to the game.
Hmm.
Give us a little breakdown. What's everyone's sport in the fam, and who's the most competitive?
Okay, so first of all,
Break
my
it down.
parents.
Okay. She goes,
So my
okay.
parents, my mom, she did track. Now she wants to believe she was the biggest basketball star. She might have played a little basketball on the side. She wasn't as good as everyone else, but she did track, and I'll give her the little basketball piece. My dad did football and baseball. My oldest brother, he did football and basketball. My sister, she sports is not her thing, and none of her kids sports are not their thing either. So she kind of just passed it on to her
Sorry.
kids. So it's got to be one in the family. She's
It's got to
not
be
the
one.
sports one. She did acting and modeling. That was really her.
Mm.
My next brother, Okana, he did basketball. Then my brother under him did basketball and soccer. Then I did soccer, basketball, and track. And then my
Okay.
youngest brother, he's doing football now and basketball.
Okay. So you got a lot of athleticism in the family. We
Very,
definitely
very much.
runs in the genes. Runs in the genes.
It
Let's just say
does.
this. Let's say all right. Thanksgiving's coming up, right? We got a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
We got the fam. Everyone's reuniting. Let's say you got a hoop outside.
Yeah, we
All
do.
right. Who's playing in ones in that game in a tournament? Let's say it's like a family tournament, and who's
Mm-hmm.
winning?
Who's winning? Well, I'm gonna do whatever I can win personally. I mean, if somebody got game point, I'm fouling. I'm fine. I'm grabbing them because my brother, he 6'4", 185. He's gonna try and post me up. I'm wrapping him up. I'm not gonna go down kind of weak like that. So one way or another, he's not getting the bucket easily. So I'm definitely hands down the most competitive in the household. Like I said, I want to be better than all. Even though they're boys, I want to be the best, hands down, best shooter, best defender, best attacker, best score, best all around player. So I feel like I'm taking the dub. I
Yeah,
think
you
I'm gonna
gotta
take the
say.
dub.
So the
I
Hidalgo
got
fam, y'all listening, y'all be
I'm
ready
sorry.
for Thanksgiving.
That's gonna be me.
Exactly. But no, okay, and I know you got some stories about this, but who's talking the most trash that day?
Um, my mom. My mom
You
talks
told me,
so much.
moms.
She just wants to sit on the sideline and co-sign everything. She wants to be the ref on the sideline. She co-signs the whole time. She's talking trash. She's doing it all. One way or another, she's getting in your head.
Do you have any funny stories of moms like sidelines during a game? You hear her like. Do you have any story that you remember specifically?
I'm pretty sure every game my mom goes to is a funny story. Anytime I'm watching film, she's somebody gets an and one, she's running on the sideline, she's flexing. I mean, my teammates tell me all the time, man, your mom is so funny. She's chest bumping the other players. I mean, she's definitely a main character for real. She's definitely one of them. She's one of them.
She's the ultimate basketball mom.
Yes, she is. She's yelling at the refs because she's a ref. So she's like, if somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, she's telling them, yeah, this is not in the book, and she's all in every
Oh,
game.
that's interesting though that your mom was a ref because I feel like a lot of players come on here and tell me I've never met a good ref. I'm not a ref fan, but
Mm-hmm.
you've got a little bit of the insight into the ref
Yeah,
life.
I do have a little insider. She was a ref for a couple years.
No, exactly. And what have you picked up from that? Have you picked up anything fun? From learning from a ref?
No, I just still think she's a cheater. I think she be cheating me. She definitely does be cheating me. When we play 2-on-2 outside, somebody doesn't move, somebody calls a travel. Everybody runs inside and says, look, he did this and he took a step here and then another step and this and that. And then, so is this a travel or is not? So we'll all go running there and kind of asking her. She know what she's talking about sometimes.
So mom's the ultimate chirper. She's the ultimate ref. So she's all around.
Yes, she's all around game, all around.
I gotta respect it. Now, one thing that we always talk about on this podcast, and I wish we had Jay Money with me, my co-host, because she reps the DMV. But we talk about what state makes the best hoopers, and you're from Jersey. And let's just say Jersey has produced some of the best talent on the men's and women's side in the last 10 years. What to you makes Jersey hoopers different, and what's your argument that Jersey is the best state for basketball?
I say we are because I mean we have it all. I mean, we have IQ wise, like we have this hard nosed, like gritty type, do dirty work, and like I say we do it both. Like other states, other areas, like it's either you're gonna be flashy with no IQ, or you're gonna have
Mm,
IQ and just not be able to, score, get to the bucket, or make
hmm.
passes and stuff like that. And I feel like us Jersey people, I mean, we got it both. So I feel like that's what makes us the best.
No, and I kind of see that, and let's go ahead and get right into it because the first time we got to see that flash from you, or at least I got to see it up front, close and personal, was at Rucker
Yes.
Park. At Rucker
Hmm.
Park, at one of the most historic courts in all of basketball, all of outdoor basketball. I mean, you've
Hmm.
had legends come through that floor, and you stepped up into that moment like it was your backyard. I
Yeah.
mean, what was going through your head going into that game? And what did you kind of want to take away from, being there and hooping there? Because I really, it is kind of crazy to think about how historic that court is and
Hmm.
how many great players we've seen play on it, from Kobe to KD. I mean, all the way through the NBA side. And we're really almost starting way, a path even more so on the women's side. I mean, we've seen
Right.
Piff and a lot of those other great New York names and hoopers come through there as well. But like, what was it like for you kind of prepping to play at a court like that?
I mean, it was great. It was a great opportunity for me. I know coming in, before the game, we were warming up. I walked over to my dad and I was like, "Look, Dad, this is my last event for the summer. So I'm gonna just go out here. I'm gonna just have fun. I'm gonna just be doing anything." And so that's really what I did. He told me, "No, no, no, listen, just go practice whatever you're about to do. Go practice it before you do it." I'm like, "Nah, I'm gonna just go do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna practice it because what's the fun? That's the last event. I'm gonna just go have fun with it." And I know a couple years prior, I was about 2 years prior, I was in New York playing at the Gauchos gym, and we
Uh-huh.
took a trip over there to the court. And I never thought like, hey, in a few years I'm gonna be kind of playing in front of all the New York people from all over, kind of coming to like watch me play on this court. So I mean, it was great. I mean, the atmosphere was great, the environment was great, the people were great. I mean, the energy all around was just amazing there.
So we got to get it straight for the record right quick. So
Mhm.
that in between and one,
Yeah.
that wasn't practiced.
Nope, not at all. I mean, when I was in the gym, I was having workouts with my dad. I was like, you know what? When I go to slam, I'm like, I'm gonna do a 360 leg because I tried to do it a game before, and it didn't go well. So I'm like, next time I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna actually make it this time. But once I got the steal, and I look over to my side, I see Angelica running. I'm like, all right, I'm ahead of her. I got a good distance ahead of her. So I'm gonna just go between my legs. I'm thinking, I'm gonna go between my legs right now. Kind of, I don't want to do a regular layup. I just got to steal. I got a wide open lane. I was not expecting for her to foul me because if I knew she was gonna foul me, I probably wouldn't do between the legs. But no, when I went up and I felt the hit, and I was like, oh smack! When I saw the ball, and I was like, what? Like I couldn't even believe it. I don't even remember what I was saying, but I was just like, yo, in my head, I was just thinking, yo, no way that just went in. Like it was. I mean, it was all just crazy.
I mean, I have you heard Rucker Park explode like that while playing?
No, I've never been in that type of atmosphere before. So like once the ball went in, it was like we was in like an enclosed gym with like thousands of people. I mean, it was loud. I mean, the atmosphere, the energy was just like crazy. I came back home and my cousin was like, "Yo, what were you thinking? Like, why would you go in between?" I was like, "Man, I don't even know. I don't even know what I was thinking." But it
But
was
you
great. It
hit
was
that. You
amazing.
hit that. You
I
hit
know
that
he
though. It
was
don't
like, he was
matter.
like, yeah, he was like, that don't even matter. He's like, that was so tough. That one there. I was like, hey, look, I would look, that ball had to be guided by God. That's it. Because
What do you
that was
think you
crazy.
what do you think you would have heard from Pops if it didn't go in?
He probably would have been telling me, I told you to practice. I told you should have practiced. He would have been on me. Because that 360 lab, he was on me for that one too.
Well, hey, at least it went in. I mean, and
Yes.
like, that was the most viral play of the
Mhm.
weekend by far, hands down. When you kind of went to go, well, wait, let me take us back a second because you kind of said it earlier. You don't really talk a lot when you hoop. Like, you're pretty, like, put your head down, get to work. You talked
Mm.
your shit after that, after
No,
that play. Talked your ish.
I had to get hype with the fans. I was like, oh, and what? I told you, I don't even know what I was saying. I was just yelling. I was young. I just like getting my teammates hype, getting the fans hype. That's really what I like to do. But I wasn't talking smack down. Like, I wasn't talking smack, but I was screaming though. I,
That's fair.
I
That's
was,
fair.
I was saying something. I don't know what I was saying, but I wasn't talking smack.
You're just like, yeah, like
Yeah, I was just like, hey, one, let's go. Something like that. Something like that.
That's awesome. No, I mean, listen, those are the types of plays we live for. That was the most exciting
Mhm.
thing. So when you got back to your phone, like, what was that like? Like, what were some of those first things you start seeing on your phone when that thing was going viral?
I mean, I just saw a whole bunch of reposts from all different kinds of angles, from people that were right under the basket, people that were on the sidelines. I saw JD running across, screaming across the camera. Brad had her hands over her mouth. I know Chloe Kids had her hands over her mouth. And then I pictured me on the floor and screaming, and Jada standing over me screaming too. It was just such a great moment that was captured.
Yeah, that I mean, honestly, and one of the cool things too, and we saw it a few days later, which you got to tell the story actually, because you told me, but if you got to tell the story of your dad seeing your highlight on Sports Center or on ESPN, it was, and who was saying when Jalen Rose
Oh,
was,
Jalen
yeah,
Rose.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Somebody had sent me, was like, yo, Jalen Rose was just mentioning you. And I was like, who's Jalen Rose? I was like, who's that? He was like, my dad was going crazy. He was like, oh my gosh, my mom was going crazy. That was one of my favorite players, the Fab Five. And I was like, what? And then he was talking about, man, Michigan will love. And my parents were just flabbergasted. They were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this, Jalen Rose. And I was just like, who is that? I had no idea, but I know he went to Michigan, part of the Fab Five.
Shout out Jalen Rose.
Jalen
I
Rose.
mean, listen, you know now. You
I
know
know who
who
he
he
is
is.
now.
Oh man. I mean, listen, that was one of the coolest things that I gotten to see. I mean, listen, like that park when it explodes, it explodes. It is one of a kind. I
Mhm.
mean, it is, there's nothing else like it.
Nothing.
And
I mean, there was
so
people lined up hours before our game, so it was crazy. Like the line was wrapped around hours before our game, so it was great.
no, 100%. And you know, some of the best players, and we kind of talked about this when I saw you a little bit ago, but like so many USA players, some of the just the best players across the country that come to this game. Who was your favorite to match up against, or like who were you most looking forward to match up against? Just because, like, you know, you love the way they hoop.
I would say Malaysia, her, and probably Angelica too, because
Hmm.
she's that like New Yorker, like flashy kind of up and under, like put it between her defender's legs, pull back
Hmm.
three, like, and Malaysia's just flashing, like she's just athletic. So those two are probably my most excited to match up against.
Yeah, I mean, two great players, and shout
Mm,
out to Malaysia who just committed to South Carolina. What an
yep, South
exciting moment
Carolina.
for
Yep.
her! But most importantly, you just committed to Notre Dame. I mean, what a special moment. I know we spoke about it before we started recording, but talk about the feelings that you have. You know, kind of finally being able to tell the world like this is where I'm going and making that decision for you and your family.
It was nerve wracking, but I really felt like this was the spot for me. Me and my parents, we did a lot of praying, and we talked a lot about it, a lot of the pros and the cons, and we just felt like Notre Dame was the place to call home for the next 4 years. So it was a lot of kind of thought and a lot of decisions that kind of went into picking my school, but Notre Dame checked off a lot of the boxes.
Yeah, and was there anything ultimately that really made like what was did you ever have like a clarity moment where you're like, oh my God, like this is where I gotta go? Or was it something that like something stood out to you and you thought this is something that I really need in my program for the next 4 years?
Yeah, well, I would say the relationship that the players had with each other and with the coaches, and I think one of the biggest things for me was the head coach. And Niel is a really big players coach, and it was just like when I was around them, it was just like being with my family. So I mean, they were just like so close knit, and you know, Niel was just like another member of my family. So it was just great. Like all the coaches, it was just my parents had such a great time. I know my mom was, playing spades, and it was like she was at her cousin's house. That was kind of how she was just having a ball. So it was just great kind of being around that atmosphere. So really that family environment was really what stood out to me most when I, took my visit and everything. So that played a major, major part in picking my school.
No, wait, we gotta run it back real quick. Mom was playing spades. Who was she
She was
playing spades with? And
look,
who was she talking to?
I think she was playing spades with Co, Sherelle, and Niel. And my mom, listen, mom, you don't even understand. My mom is the biggest trash talker I know. So she was, I called her on the phone. I was out with the girls. I called her on the phone, and she was screaming. She wasn't paying no attention to me. She was yelling at everybody. I think Nielle was her partner. She was yelling at CO. She was yelling at Sherelle. She was having a blast. It was, I tell you, it was just like she was at her cousin's house. She was just having a ball, just talking crazy.
That doesn't shock me, but does she win though?
She did win,
There we
and
go.
that yeah, she win. And Nielle was talking crazy right with her. So they I mean they were just having a great time.
Match made in heaven. I mean, listen,
Yes, absolutely. It definitely was.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And one of the cool things too about Notre Dame is, a lot of past Summer Classic alums and I would say, former great, I mean, New York and New Jersey greats. Olivia Miles is really paving the way over there as a guard. What excites you about playing with players like Olivia as you join that backcourt? Because I mean, that is a pretty scary looking backcourt right now.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I know before I picked the school and I was telling a lot of people, about the school, they were just like, are you sure, you want to go play with them? But, I was talking to Nia and she was just like, they just don't want to see that backcourt because that backcourt is scary. She's very unselfish and she can also get hurt. She's flashy and she has a good IQ. So there was like that backcourt would just be scary and they don't want to see us win. So that's why they're telling you like, don't go here. She has the ball this percentage of the time. And so she was like, but she is a very unselfish player and she can also get hurt. She knows how to get to the bucket. So that is going to be a very scary backcourt, but I'm excited to play.
Nah, listen, I think like the cool thing in seeing Nielle take over and kind of this new generation of Notre Dame, right? Because it's almost like, the second coming of the program has been so exciting to see. And Olivia really is that she's such an IQ player, such a brain,
Yep.
like she really gets it and sees it way more than I feel like uh, half the people that, we play with. So what are you most excited to learn from players like her, from coach? And then what are you excited to add to that program, to that roster as they look to, bring it back to the Final Four and hopefully even the championship?
Yeah. I'm really excited to learn, whatever can be taught to me, kind of how to rotate on defense, like how to come off screens, how to score off screens, anything that I can learn. Like I'm just excited to learn from not only, my teammates, but also the coaches. So I'm just excited for kind of whatever they have to offer me. Um, But I really want to just bring energy. Like I really want to bring energy to my teammates, to the fans, like defensively getting steals, taking charges, getting and ones, just really like bringing that energy, bringing speed, bringing pace, kind of distributing the ball, but scoring two when necessary. So I'm ready to bring every part of my game with me and kind of just bring that excitement.
Yeah, and listen, the fans in South Bend are some of the craziest and most
I heard.
invested in the world. I know they were excited to see you added to the recruit list for this class coming in next year.
Mhm.
What can that program and what can those fans expect from you as you join that team and hopefully get them back to the Final Four and maybe a championship?
Well, yeah, I should say they should expect no plays off. I mean, I'm gonna give 110% every time I step out on the court. I'm gonna bring energy. I'm gonna bring defense, locking up, and I'm just gonna give it my all. Kind of whatever happens, happens, and I'm gonna just give it everything I got.
Yeah, and a lot of great players have come through that program. Now WNBA greats. I mean, Natalie
Mhm.
Achanwa, Skylar Diggins Smith. The list goes on and on. Is there any one of those players that maybe you look forward to connecting with and even picking their brain on? Just because again, that transition into college is one thing, but then the potential transition from college into the WNBA is a whole nother thing too. So, are
Yeah.
any of those players ones that you maybe like look towards to hopefully kind of get some advice from?
I would say Skylar Diggins, and I met her on my official visit. I know Neil
Oh,
brought her in.
amazing.
I did, so that was really cool. But I'm excited. I actually sent her a picture of me and my family with our Notre Dame gear on, and she was like, congratulations and everything. So I'm excited to connect with her and kind of learn. Everybody and Neil and a couple other like fans were like, man, like you really remind me of Skylar, like the way like how aggressive you are, how much energy you play with, like you really remind me of Skylar. So I'm excited to, kind of learn from her and pick her brain a bit.
Yeah, did she share any words, when you got to meet her that one time?
Yeah,
And
we talked for a little bit, she was just telling me like, this is Gar University, like kind of just like telling me about like all the people around me, kind of just picking the school. Like this is the one time where I get to be selfish and kind of just
Yeah.
picking the school that's like, gonna fit the best fit for me. Cause when I get in there, it's not just about me anymore. It's about the team, but making this decision, it's all about me. It's not about anybody else. But she gave me a lot of, helpful insight. So, which was cool talking to her.
Yeah, definitely. And I got to ask this to every player that's going off to college next year, because I think about me going off to college. What is the meal that you're going to be able to cook for yourself when you no longer have somebody cooking for
Oh,
you?
man, I have no idea. I'm probably gonna be calling my dad, telling him to send me some meals or some videos or something. I don't know. Look it up on TikTok, look it up on YouTube, meals to cook. They might have to put me on a meal plan because I don't know about my eating habits. They're gonna have to get me right.
You haven't been able to cook anything? You haven't chefed up anything?
No, I haven't touched a dish in I don't know how long. I don't I don't even know the last time I picked up a
Is
dish.
his mom gonna be happy to hear this?
No, probably not. But she don't. She should be. She don't cook no more. My dad, she cook every once in the blue moon. My dad cook every Sunday. So don't worry about
There
it.
we go. So Pops is gonna be the one that's gonna have some fighting words when he
Yes.
hears this.
Yeah. Yeah. They know. They know. I do the baking sometimes when I feel like
Oh,
it.
wait, what you bake?
Sometimes stuff in the box. I baked a few cakes from scratch, like, and then made the buttercream icing and stuff like that from scratch. Some simple stuff like that.
Oh, no big deal. All right, so to the Notre Dame or teammates listening, Hannah's gonna bake you some cakes
No,
and cupcakes.
no, no, that ship sailed a long time ago. Don't worry that.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much for coming on, talking to us. We're really excited to see you play at this next level and play for a final championship before you kind of even get there. You got a lot of goals this season. I know that you're excited to achieve, and we're really, proud of everything you've done. And thank you so much for joining us.
It was great talking to you. I appreciate it, and it was great having you. Thank you.
Yeah, talk soon. Thanks, Hannah.
All right, bye.